everybody, it's me, Jill, and welcome to Jill Informed. Today we are going to recap the Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 12, Episode 15, Mystic Mistake. I have to mention that the show opens with Deco and Peggy, and again, Peggy not understanding a phrase, and Deco says, "You've been here since you were 1 year old, and you don't understand American phrases." Deco, that's what I've been saying since episode 1. I am suspicious of the fact that Deco's saying it to her, though, because you've been married to her for 22 years. You know she's been in this country since she was 1, and is this a real problem, or is this a Bravo TV problem? That's what I'm wondering. Because why are you just bringing it up now? We have a scene with Vicky at the doctor's office getting like stress tests and stuff. And she tells the doctor that, yeah, I mean, she's had some stress in her life. And then we have this whole montage of Vicky just screaming at the top of her lungs at people. And it is pretty funny, except then it seems as though she has some kind of a serious heart issue. I just couldn't really follow this scene because the doctor tells her, well, I'm concerned about what I found with these tests. Then he says, it's not serious, but there's a, chamber of her heart that's enlarged. I don't know. I mean, it sounds serious, but like he said, it isn't. So at the end of this scene, I didn't know how to feel. Then we see Tamara in her bedroom on the phone with Shannon. And of course they're talking about the whole, what did David say? What didn't he say? The whole cancer, Peggy, Deco, David cancer story. The whole time they're talking, all I could think to myself is Tamara's bedroom looks like it was furnished in one trip to TJ Maxx. Like she just said, okay, we're hitting one store and I'm getting everything I need for the bedroom. Either that or it was designed by somebody who designs for hotels. I mean, it was just the pillows all over. I love you to the moon and back, and Mr. and Mrs. Pillow. Oh God. And the sayings on the wall, like whatever, live, love, laugh, or it looked like somebody who was staging a room, but there was nothing personal or unique about it. It was so distracting for me during that scene that I wasn't sure why Tamara threw her phone across the bed. I think she's mad at Shannon about something. Then we have Megan's psychic party, and her psychic, Mystic Michaela, I think that was her name, was there with Meghan, and they're talking, and then Peggy is the first to arrive. And apparently this mystic reads auras, and she wants to read Peggy. And Peggy sits down and she's like, no, thank you. I mean, it was funny, but come on, Peggy, you knew why you were coming. It was a mystic party, so whatever. So she's sitting there, and then the mystic is like, oh, but that's okay. A lot of people don't want to be read, or I wouldn't do anything personal. Like I wouldn't pry into your personal business or anything like that. And Peggy's just kind of sitting there, stone face, giving her nothing. The mystic looks at Peggy and she goes, you're a very intuitive person. And Peggy goes, I know. Which I thought was great, because it was like this mystic was giving her like insight into her personality. And Peggy's just like, yeah, I already know myself. You are not going to tell me anything I don't already know. I'm not trying to be rude or seem full of myself, but I know what I know. Then we see Kelly at her house, and at first I'm wondering, was Kelly invited to this party or not? Because she's talking about her breast surgery and like, oh, like she's sore and all that. But I'm wondering if this was filmed out of order, because she was out to dinner with the ladies. She was at that party on the boat. I mean, she's been out and about with those new breasts. So I don't know if this was filmed out of order or if she was having some new problem with them, or I didn't quite get that. Back at Megan's mystic party, they're sitting down to have dinner, and Lydia shows up. And she's got a big announcement. Everybody, how would you like to go on a girls' trip to Iceland? Most of them are all pretty excited about it. Peggy acts like she's never heard of Iceland. What is this Iceland? What is it? Oh, and Lydia says that it's like the midnight sun. The sun will never go down. And Peggy goes, okay, I'm in. That's what did it for Peggy. So Lydia is saying, I thought everybody would be here because I want to invite Vicky and Kelly too. So they're sitting at the table, and Lydia gets Vicky and Kelly on the phone, and she tells them, we're going to go to Iceland. And Kelly goes, I want to go to Iceland. Yes, that sounds fun. And there's like silence from Vicky. So Lydia says, hey, come on, Vicky, put on your party pants, okay? Vicky, okay. The saddest little okay. Wow. Could you be more enthusiastic about getting invited to Iceland? My husband wants to go to Iceland so bad. Now I'm afraid that like these housewives are going to ruin it for us. And not that he's going to watch the Housewives, but I, of course, will tell him what the trip was like. So somebody notices that Peggy's being kind of quiet, and they ask her what's wrong. And she's like, okay, I need to get this out in the open. Shannon, I called you a few times and you never replied. And Shannon tells her, well, I was a little upset about accusing David of interrogating Deco, which he did not do. I talked to him, and he was simply confused. That was all. He did not understand if you had cancer or not, and he was just trying to figure that out. That's all. He was concerned. Peggy just asking her about it, like, opened this whole flood of feelings for Shannon, and it does not take much, as we know. So she's going on and on about how David was just trying to strike up a conversation, and he meant no harm, and on and on. And finally Peggy goes, are you done? Don't you just love it when you're upset and you're talking, and then the person says, are you done? Naturally, it gets Shannon upset, so she says, yes, I am done. And why did you even bring me into this whole thing? This was about David and Deco, and you weren't even there. Neither of us were even there. And then Peggy says, do you trust your husband? Has he ever lied to you about anything else? Oh, girl. Everybody's mouth drops, and Shannon loses it. First, she gets really quiet, which is the scarier Shannon. And she says, do not even go there. Peggy's acting all innocent. What? I know nothing. I don't know anything. Oh my God. Yes, you do. You would not have said that. You might have said, do you trust your husband? And that's it. Although even that's a little aggressive. But to say, has he ever lied to you about anything else? Oh, come on. You know exactly what you were doing. Peggy, you got an evil side to you, girl. And Shannon says, yes, you do know something. And Peggy goes, I don't, but if you trust your husband, that's good. Yeah, right. Shannon gets so upset, she gets up and leaves the table, and Tamara goes and follows her, and they're in the bathroom, and Lydia, good Christian Lydia, says, oh, God, what are they doing in there, syncing up their periods? Okay. Ever the sensitive soul you are, Lydia. The ladies decide they should not all be involved and that Shannon and Peggy should talk alone. So they go in the other room to do just that. But that does not go well. Because it's too soon. Shannon's still so angry, and then Peggy just ends up crying about her cancer being more important than any of this other BS, which it is, but you brought this up. So you can't now just when you want to get out, cry cancer. You can't do that. Anyway, Shannon is looking insane. The more people get quiet around her, the more she gets riled up and starts acting crazy and flailing about and, is telling Tamra, you didn't have my back, nobody had my back, and all this stuff. So it's, God help me, but I'm going to have to agree with Tamra. She says how Shannon has not been right since David cheated on her. And I would have to agree. She cannot get over it, and it is coming out in other ways all over the place. Because this is not fun Shannon to me. As much as she tries to be like, oh, having a good time, she shows up at this party and she's all excited about seeing the psychic and, oh, my aura is all over the place. And you can tell she's trying hard to have a good time. She always starts off seeming like she's trying really hard to have a good time. And she ends up either screaming or crying. And I think it's just, she's just suppressing all this stuff with David. I hate to say it, but I do not think she's going to be able to get over it. And some women can't. I don't know if I could. And that doesn't mean you're weak. It is what it is. It's a terrible betrayal, and if you can't get over it, you can't get over it, but you cannot let it ruin the rest of your relationships and have it come out in other ways all over the place. That's not good. So everyone says goodnight and that party ends. Now, this is where I think the time is weird again, like filmed out of order. I can't figure it out. But what appears to be now the next day, because it's broad daylight out, and at the end of the party it was dark out. So now it seems to be the next day or something. Shannon comes over to Tamra's house. She's wearing the exact same thing, head to toe. The dark top and white jeans. The exact same necklace. She's carrying the same water bottle. I mean, it looks like she just left the party and went right over to Tamra's, except now it's daylight. Anyway, Tamra tells her that her daughter Sydney has invited her to her graduation. This is the daughter that she's been estranged from and hasn't spoken to in 3.5 years or something. So she's very excited about that, and it is good news. And so they have kind of a nice little talk, even about Shannon understanding that she needs to get things right at home with David first. And that's probably what's going on with all her other relationships. This episode ends with a little montage of all the ladies packing for Iceland. Peggy and Deco are playing around and she's trying to stuff him into a suitcase. And this was the cutest part. He's wearing his little Louboutin boat shoes. So sweet. He loves those little shoes. You see Vicky and her daughter, and Vicky's picking out things to wear, and she's got like this big turtleneck sweater that's sleeveless. Then we see Shannon and David compared to everybody else's packing scenes. It was so sad. Shannon has like 2 parkas thrown into a suitcase, and she's like, well, that's all I have. I mean, that's all that really fits me. And David's just standing there eating chips. Finally, he says, don't they have stores in Iceland? Okay. Thanks, David. You're the best. Then they show like kind of other scenes where David is just standing there eating chips. So supportive of your wife trying to lose weight, aren't you, buddy? Anyway, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you. Please join me back here every Monday at 1 p.m. Central Time for the next recap of The Real Housewives of Orange County. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please give me a big thumbs up if you liked it. And please comment down below. I love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.